in Helsinki, Cult of Darkness Festival, and I have a band that is all about eggs. Sir, please introduce yourself. Why are you here with me?
I'm God Perverter from Eggs of Gomorrh, based in Geneva, Switzerland. Formed in 2008. First time in Finland. Pretty cool show. For that matter, we played one show yesterday and had a pretty humid time today as well. And just here as a part of Cult of Darkness Festival. And great crew.
Let's tackle the very first obvious question. Eggs. And before you answer that, in Finland, when you translate eggs from English, we always think of chicken eggs. So what's exactly the name all about? What are the eggs we want to know about?
What you need to perceive in that matter is it's like a hatch, a womb, a start, a fetus. If you want something that signifies a beginning, like unbirth, or and this with the second part of the band name, Gomorrh, it signifies sin and vice, so it's the beginning of everything that is.
So born of vice, born of sin.
The beginning of sin.
A beginning of sin.
Yeah,
okay.
You can put it that way.
So we're talking about Sodom and Gomorrah.
Yeah.
Essentially.
Yeah, we have a lot of themes about death and perversions and even borderline incest, drug-fueled berserk frenzy. Kind of like a horror movie you don't want to hear anything about,
Why did you choose to go with such a peculiar name? I mean, rather than like Born of Sin or Born of this or Born of that?
The guy that we founded the band with back in the days, we just found Gomorrh first, and then we got drunk, and at one point we looked at each other and we're like, Eggs of Gomorrh.
So get drunk, get eggs.
Don't push it.
All right, fair enough. Talking about your music, it's very, very aggressive, very fast tempo. Whether we are talking about live or albums, you are very, very relentless. You're not like holding back, but you're going like full speed ahead to some sort of mayhem and destruction, death and what have you. Why are you pushing the boundaries with the kind of aggression?
We were really inspired by like the 90s French extreme black metal wave back in the day. So like Antus or Arto and Faustus, those kind of bands.
Yeah.
And we felt that back in the days, like there was a lot of brutal death metal bands, but there was not something which was a brutal black metal band,
Yep.
with like fast razor riffs, with and it like maybe the demos of 1349, this kind of bands, that like really in the mid frequencies and very satanic razor riffs kind of thing. So we thought, okay, let's do what those guys do, but even more brutal. But we ended up with a like overcompressed first album, which was kind of half-assed played, in my opinion, now after a while, after 16 years. And then it slowly evolved into our own style, like inspired by 2010, 2012 Black Death, bestial war metal bands that were kind of affiliated with a Nuclear War Now roster back in the days when it was still called Nuclear War Now. And then after a while, we just kind of naturally dropped all the influences, and had our own footprint.
Yeah, because you kind of sound familiar. Certain aspects are definitely coming like from the war metal territory, but it's not like you sound like, say, Revenge or Blasphemy. There is something different.
No.
But there is the kind of a grinding and death metallic taste or flavor to your sense of black metal. So it's not pure black metal, but it's not really death metal either. It's somewhere between, right?
Yeah. There's some. I mean, we had so many people that if you really insist on tagging the style, you know,
And people are.
Yeah, and they kind of call it gold grind or black and death metal. I don't like tags at all, you know. I mean,
They suck, but they're mandatory evil.
yeah, it's mandatory for audiences for performing at some gigs, you know, like certain promoters. They kind of look forward to, you know. Well, unlike this fest, Cult of the Darkness, I mean, they have a lot of different styles here. You have a lot of, obviously, like classic black metal thing, and it's very fresh for us to be here because the audience, we thought that in Finland especially, it'll be kind of hard to pierce because we're always in between, you know, black and death metal. You
Exactly.
know?
You could be basically playing with either kind of festival.
We don't really play black metal festivals. You know, we're more like affiliated with time that I'm kind of in the hindback. I'm noticing that we're playing more with like death metal bands, but not in a like pure death metal way. I mean, we played with Cultus Profano with Arthur. He plays in Sadistic Intent, for example, from LA, right? And I mean, this is kind of a death metal, but an old school way that when the styles were a little bit mixed, one could say, you know, which makes it interesting. But we don't play either with like typical Finnish sounding black metal bands, like I mean, you know, Horna or Sargeist or whatever, just top of my head, or with death metal bands that are purely like brutal, you know.
Yeah, Death Cannibal Corpse kind of stuff.
we're not brutal enough for a death metal festival, but we are not fit in the black metal context.
So you're kind of like fitting in between, in a sense.
Yeah, and that's a good way because we are like the black goat. I don't want to say black duck because that expression sucks, but yeah, something in between, and this kind of secures our position in some interesting events and kind of stuff. And I prefer to play really those kind of gigs than just be like, you know, tagged as something, you know, very basic.
Now, a lot of countries, like you mentioned, Finland has certain amount of certain sounding bands.
Yeah.
If you go to Quebec or other parts of Canada, you will hear certain kind of bands. Quebec area has melodic black metal, and then again, a lot of Canada has the kind of a black death war metal thing going on. Sweden has its own sound. You can say Greek. But when we think about Swizerland, we're like, okay, there's Celtic Frost, which is nothing like X of Gomorrh. You can think about Samael, nothing like X of Gomorrh, and nothing like one another, or Dark Space, and we are like, these are all very, very fucking different. One is totally old school.
Belter.
Yeah, Belter also, one of very, very different. So, what's the secret ingredient coming from Switzerland and sounding so different?
Our old singer was from Ecuador, and as you know, as you told me before, that black metal or whatever circles, they are regrouped. How do you put it normally? Like small towns, limited amount of people. They have a circle. Yeah. They all play in the same bands, not the same generation as ours goat or you, obviously, but...
yeah, but I mean, there is this like Malum and Nightside today.
Yeah.
We're not that far from one another, really.
And Tuka told me that the members were interchangeable or shifted or whatever. Same thing happened to us at Geneva. It's a small place, and obviously they're like, I mean, metal-wise, it's more like they like hardcore metal, they like metalcore, modern style derivatives kind of thing. And basically the only guys back in the days that we found that really enjoyed like playing Mayhem covers or whatever were a couple of Ecuadorian maniacs, you know, that we, you know, that become our brothers, you know. And since then we always played in their band, Supine Ukes. There was our old singer and his brother's band and his cousin, like a Christian style thing from Ecuador, you know. And then it just we realized that we go to the same festivals. Those guys, they're like, yeah, man, we should do a Sarcophago cover. That kind of explains it, you know, because the other guys in Geneva, they play like maybe a the section style, melodic black metal. Some other guys play something completely different, and it was like not very coherent with what we wanted to do, basically, you know. So we just stayed with those guys, and we were about like, I don't know, back in the days, like 8 or 10 people, which made up for like 3-4 different bands, and just kept on changing members, and that obviously accounted for our sound, which is apart from the general direction of where we live.
All right, let's talk about the lyrical side of the band.
Yeah.
What do we need to know about the lyrical output, lyrical content of Eggs?
Yeah. It's basically a horror movie you don't want to hear about. It's explicit, it's blasphemous, it's poetic for that matter. No, I'm kidding. It's the first album was about the torture and perversions, snuff movies. That's why you have like a Xerox photocopy. It's like what's that word? What's that movie? 9mm. Remember about snuff, weird shit, killers. You know, that kind of like weird stuff about just killing people with injecting air in their veins, or some weird squid stuff. I mean, it's just a way to describe multiple killings. So it has a very death metal connotation while being played like in a fast black metal way. And then some other stuff like split with Sarin Vomit from Turkey. It was more about like medieval Satanism and some mythological creatures, which kind of already started a shift in our lyrical direction, one could say, about some sorcerers in the island with always ending up in a murder, obviously, you know. I mean, otherwise it wouldn't be fun, you know. And then like now, this second album, Boom Spreader, is about just ascension of elite ways to murder people and bring horror upon everything, including Katerina. Nice to meet me. And basically just creative ways to bring plague upon faith, upon society, upon whatever people believe in, politics, weaklings, anything, you know, just complete annihilation.
Now the question is, what I like to ask, I know the answers for myself, but why do you want to do such extreme metal? Why do you want to sing about these topics? What's wrong with you?
Oh, many things are wrong with me. I mean, I just, I mean, it's always been that way. I mean, but
why?
It's like an athletic thing. I don't know. It's just the way to free your mind, basically. You know, to bring all this horrific images upon the people, even if they don't understand. It's kind of always been a hobby of mine. You know, it's like basically watching horror movies or thinking about all that stuff. And you know, some people do paintings, some people write books. I don't do any of that. I just blast on the snare drum and be like, "Argh!"
Have you ever wondered about why there are, like you mentioned, painters? Why there's like Hieronymus Bosch, who decided to go, okay, I'm gonna paint all these weird fucking crazy paintings with people suffering and going to weird fucking places, or when people want to make video games or movies or books like Stephen King and like make big bucks out of people getting fucking killed and tortured and whatever. Do you ever think that we're totally fucked?
It's indeed a fucked up story, obviously. And no, I don't think about that. I kind of, you know, there's a lot of people that ask like what the influences are. The influence is basically myself, you know. I mean, like, not to have an ego trip. I mean, ourselves. Like when I told you about that inspiration coming from the 90s or something, nowadays it's completely over. I mean, bands or books or paintings have no real inspiration for us anymore. It's like basically we create our own thing, and it kind of goes its own path. It's been 16 years we do that, and we come a relatively long way, because in the beginning it took us like 8 or 9 years to fulfill the basics, basically, and now we're going on a certain arrogant solo way, and we are going even further down that road by incorporating some industrial sounds. As you maybe heard from what we played, we have one track that we played from our next album, which is called Heretic Deathscapes. And there's basically there are no lyrics yet because we haven't recorded it for real. And it's kind of was made for the Mexico tour last year to promote the Womb Spreader album. So it's still, the lyrical connotation is about the second album, But when we're gonna record it, it's gonna be a new page. So we gotta record adapted lyrics to it, So inspirations is a factual thing, but I don't want to really think about it because I would rather continue this direction, narrow-mindedly and with arrogance.
Talking about other bands, everybody in the scene seems to have always more projects than just one band. Kind of a different outlet, like, okay, in this band I play fast black metal, so I need a death metal band, or a thrash metal band, or a doom metal band, or whatever. What about you? What else you need aside eggs to just, I don't know, to be your musical outlet?
You see, before back in the days, we had like a thrash metal band with some friends that we still kind of jam around with. That kind of took a lot of time, and I just realized that with my work and just normal, what's left of my social life, basically, that I can't really have a full implication in another band. So I dropped that, just chill out with friends is much easier for me. We are working on this studio project with old friends of mine that's even older than Eggs. It's called Družina. It's like a pagan metal thing. We just recorded our fourth full length in next to Copenhagen 3 weeks ago, 1 month ago. But it's like basically like the founder of Eggs of Gomorrh. He stopped playing metal, and then he's like a professional piano player. And then he decided one day, like, okay, I'm done, and like was a very extreme guy, And he moved to Paris, and he was like a teacher of jazz in conservatory. So, that went kind of sideways. But also thinking of in October, after returning from the US tour, recording more of a black metal thing with my guitarist, but I'd rather surprise you than talk about it now in full context. And the rest, it's just as I told you, my real thing is like dark ambient and industrial music, because I work in a metal bar, and imagine listening to metal albums for 10 hours a day, every day for the whole year. When I go home, trust me, I don't listen to metal. You know what I mean? So this is what I want to incorporate in the next songs, without sounding like Flesh God, Fuckopolis, whatever you call it, or all this, like so many symphonic bands. This is not the point. We want to sound nihilistic and death-orientated, whether it's like a droney sound or dark ambient stuff, like a cold meat industry. This label from Sweden. I've been going to all their festivals since like 15 years, and this is kind of thing which is interesting for me to incorporate, as an inspiration, as a kind of a liberation, artistic liberation, or whatever word you want to, an adjective you want to add to describe it,
Asking one of my favorite and most annoying questions is, are you more of the guy, I call it studio musicians, who more are focused on creating new music, making new songs, making new albums, or are you the guy who wants to play live more? Which would be your preference?
That's a difficult question, yeah.
I know, and it's an annoying one.
Actually, it's fine. It's a good question. I believe in like periodic phases. For me, for us in EOG, it's obvious that now is the time to make another album. Period. This is we are going after this. We're going 3 weeks for a Texas tour with with 5 shows, and this is the second overseas tour that we do with an album, which is like a pretty lucky thing for us because I realized that underground usually does not have this much, opportunities to do it, and for that matter, now the important thing for me, I love to play live, I mean, it's not like, in the beginning we were like all the black metal bands, like, no, playing live is for posers, Now since we're playing a different style, it's, just pure violence, so it's good to play live, even though it's pretty rough, sometimes, but now it's just like, okay, we've done all we could have done for this record, and we're not getting any more interest. It's normal because I mean underground is relentless. I mean the people after a while they just drop it, and So we're like, okay, when we come back from the States, we're doing a new record already. Maybe half of the songs are written already, and it's taking a little bit of a different direction with more of your mid tempos you were mentioning. I'm sorry.
Oh yeah, I hear the mid-tempo talking. Yeah. That's an inside joke for you people who don't understand it. So before we go on and let's go fuck about. What lies ahead? Let's do a little bit of foreseeing. What happens in say next 1, 2, or 3 years for you or Eggs? We can make individual foretellings here.
Well, we definitely get the third album, and the interesting idea would be to record it in a professional studio for a change. I mean, it's always about improvement and accelerating the writing process and better quality, I guess. So. I mean, the idea was we talked about going somewhere for like a month to record the third album and compose a little bit of its remaining parts, like live in the studio kind of thing. And then, I mean, it's always been a hobby because we all have full-time jobs, at home. So it's a better hobby than smoking crack, for example. And
well, I guess there are lots of better hobbies than smoking crack.
Yeah. This one is a cool one. It gets you a good workout as well. So, just I think that's gonna take like another year to actually like finalize the new album, and then take it from there. See who are interested in getting us to play, and maybe do another. We've been speaking for the last decade, maybe with the guys in Geneva about making a 3-way split with our circle bands, kind of thing. A decade. You see how fast we are in composing, So that's a project as well. And then, I mean, our bassist has like 2 kids, and our guitarist is working on his own. He has another band, so I mean, it's just going to continue. And I mean, I'm pretty okay with just continuing doing those kind of events, playing with Arto. Last time we played with them was 7 years ago in 2017 on the Continental Crucifixion European Tour with Balzer and Svarty Dowdy. And I was thinking, have a little interesting connotation of drinking a little bit more before their show, getting them to talk after their show and asking if they want to do it again. That's one of the projects I'm thinking about, for example.
Oh yeah. This is as far as we're gonna get today.
That's cool because they're playing soon.
Yeah, exactly. But the last question is: now people hopefully are more interested in Eggs of Gomorrh. What would be the starting point for new listeners? Where should they start their venture into Eggs?
Yeah, you're right. But it's a beginning for Finland, because we never played here. It's like
I mean, like as an audience, which song or release they should start with?
I think the Alpregnate EP. That's like the turning point. The first album it was really like just black death metal with overcompression and a lot of reverb. We play like the ending song from that album. We don't really play it live anymore. So if you want to like match it to the expectations for what you listen to, start with the Alpregnate EP and go forward.
All right.
Yeah.
Now, people, I hope that despite the background noise and everything, you made some sense in your heads with this. And if we didn't, at least we had some good talks and drinks over here. So I guess piss off and die trying. This is Cult of Darkness. This is Eggs of Gomorrh. Thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, thank you.
We're gonna keep drinking. Maybe you should try drinking too. If you don't, stay poser. Bye bye.
You done on the same time? No, you're not.
I have a little bit left.
Ah.
All right. Now, before you go, we need two things from you.
Yeah.
One is a quick photo, like an Instagram photo,
Okay.
which I will post when the interview goes out.
Okay.
And it's also what my person.